are now entering Armbar Audio.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Armbar Audio. John, it's a special episode, isn't it?
It's a very special episode because we have with us a superstar of Impact Wrestling and all of it in the scene, Hakeem Zayn, known on Impact as Rohit Raju. Rohit, how you doing today, bud?
I'm doing pretty good. You guys doing all right?
Yeah, we're doing good.
Yeah,
That's good.
We're very
good.
happy to have you. Thank you so much for replying to us and setting this up. We appreciate it greatly.
I love doing these, man. It's fun, especially this right now. You know, I have nothing but time, so I enjoy. Thanks for reaching out to me. I enjoy talking wrestling and just, you know, helps get my name out there and you guys out there, and hopefully we can make some waves here.
Right. I was gonna ask you first off, like, how's the quarantine life treating you? How are you filling up your time?
To be honest, I have a home gym that I bought. I had when I first got signed by Impact, I had actually lost my job after I told them I got signed, because I kind of figured they knew my attention really wouldn't be on work as much as possible. But that's a long story. But when I got let go, when I had my first Impact check, I put that money towards getting this home gym, and I've built it up ever since, and now it really comes in handy. So I lift a lot. I'm actually playing a lot more video games now than usual, and I'm hoping the weather will get nice, because that way I can grill. It was 60 degrees. I'm in Michigan. It was 60 degrees a couple days ago, really nice and sunny. And then for the past 2 days it snowed. So it's just like, what the hell, man? Make up your mind. But that's Midwest weather, unfortunately. But other than that, man, I take my dogs outside, hang out. My wife and I just kick back and drink. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I just can't go out and see people, which really sucks. But I try to enjoy the weather. Like I said, get outside and grill, play video games, catch up on my shows or anything like that. So it's pretty lame, though. I want to be wrestling every weekend, which I am obviously not doing. So that's a bummer.
What's some of your shows?
I finished Narcos Mexico. I think it was season 2. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was season 2. Ozark season 3.
Oh, I've heard a lot about Ozark. I need to get on that.
Ozark's really good. I like your X-Files. Well, it's not X-Files, but I always remember it from the X-Files. Maybe I'll jump back on that, because I lost track of that a long time ago. Star Wars Clone Wars, the newest season of that. I'm trying to stay up on My Hero Academia. I love anime. Man. Yes.
I just recently got into My Hero. I just started season 3.
Dude, it is so good. If you get a chance, there's a part where, I think it's season 3, it breaks off and then goes into the movie.
Okay.
The first movie.
Really good. And then
Man,
that's really good. Like sometimes anime movies, they're not that good, like standalone ones, but this one kind of incorporates with the series, which is really good, and I enjoyed that. And My Hero has that. I'm a big fan of Naruto. It's just, like the characters, even though Naruto is the main character, there's so many other characters that are developed, and they have their own stories and stuff that you actually care about.
Two people that automatically come to mind is Shikamaru and Rock Lee.
Dude, I love Rock Lee. Rock Lee is one of my favorites. Itachi, the whole storyline with Itachi is like one of my favorite storylines. So good. And just playing. I might jump on Call of Duty. I suck really bad because I haven't played forever, but I know a lot of the guys are playing. I downloaded Final Fantasy VII, the remake. I started playing that. I just beat Witcher a few months ago, Witcher 3, which I absolutely loved, because I was watching the show, and I was like, you know what, I never beat Witcher, let me go back to that. And then, what else? Dauntless on the Switch. I was playing that, which is a free download on, I think, all the systems, but it's kind of like a Monster Hunter-esque type game, but it was free, and that was fun. So, just doing that, man. I like all that stuff.
If you got the Switch, are you planning on jumping on Animal Crossing anytime soon?
I don't think so, because I think I downloaded Final Fantasy IX because it was on sale, so I'll probably do that in my free time. I was never the biggest Animal Crossing person, but I'm pretty sure if I played it, I would be addicted, because I know it's just fun.
On Twitter and Facebook, my whole feeds right now are Animal Crossing or Tiger King. is what everybody's talking about.
Yeah, yeah. I watched Tiger King, and I thought it was really, it was crazy, but I didn't like go head over heels like
Right.
everybody else. So I was like, oh yeah, this is wild, but I didn't care afterwards. So, but to each his own. So I can't talk bad about it. It just didn't catch me like it caught everybody else. But I'm sure I'll get something on my Twitter. Oh, you like that bitch Carol Baskins? Because I don't sing its praises like everybody else,
Right.
which the whole thing is wild to me. But whatever.
It is absolutely insane.
All right,
So anyway, we're here to talk about wrestling. So I guess we should do that. So you said you get this asked a lot, like the normal questions and everything. So we're just gonna throw it into one question. Let's just hear some of your background, like influences and where you started and all that jazz.
Right.
I've always been a fan of professional wrestling ever since I was a kid. My dad was flicking through channels, and I saw a clip of the Road Warriors taking on the Koloffs in a Russian chain match, and I was hooked ever since. And of course, Hogan, Savage, all that stuff drew me in. The WCW cruiserweights. What made me want to become a professional wrestler was watching the cruiserweights. And I was just enthralled with Chris Benoit, the way he moved. His ring work was just, to me, second to none. And I would record all of his matches, and I would study them. And when I got out of high school, I looked up a bunch of wrestling schools that I wanted to go to that were close. And I couldn't afford it, though, so I kept working. And then I just started getting into full-time jobs, management positions. And the love of professional wrestling never left. And I finally got a chance to go train with this guy named Joe Bird, Xavier Justice, out in Davison. Now he trains out in Flint. I did that for 6 months, got cleared, and then I started going down to the House of Truth in Detroit. And then a few years later, I wanted something new. It's just some new training, because you always want to go hit up different schools and see, how they do it, and you just get better and better. I started going out to Border City, Scott D'Amore's place. This was before he actually went back to Impact, and I started going out there, and so I claim all 3 schools. I claim all those guys as my trainers. Favorite wrestler, Macho Man Randy Savage. I just think he is the perfect package. He looks the part, he talks the talk, he walks the walk. Instantly, when you see him, he just exemplifies professional wrestling, and I think that's missing a lot of times nowadays. I think a lot of guys, they either focus on the ring work and the athleticism, which is really cool, or some people just focus on the gimmick. There's very few people that do all of it, and I don't think there's a few people out there that cut really good promos. I think the promo is a lost art. Tag team wrestling used to be, but not anymore. Tag team wrestling is phenomenal again, which I absolutely love.
Yeah.
And managers like Bobby Heenan, we don't have that anymore. And I think that's a lost art as well. But to me, Macho Man, he exemplifies everything and what a professional wrestler should be. So that's kind of my go-to right there. That's it, man. I walked around. I used to record. I had this big gray teddy bear when I was a kid, and I would record myself. I'd wrestle it, and I would do commentary. I'd be like Vince McMahon, oh my God, what a maneuver! And then I would act like Mean Gene, and then I would, turn like this, and I would cut the promo. Something, brother? Or I'd be like, yeah, I don't think that was very incredible. And I would just sit there and try and do the voices and just cut promos, and it never stopped. Even as when I was in high school, everybody wanted to be, these guys are the NWO, or these guys are DX, or these guys are the Horsemen, and we would all, do silly stuff like that. So it never left. It was always a part of my life, and it just continues, and I absolutely love it. And I still walk around my house cutting promos every single day. So that's that in a nutshell, I guess.
First of all, I'd like to say I give you major props for living out your dream, because I don't know if you're familiar with IWC in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
I trained there for like 3 months, and I just could not take it.
It's no joke.
Like the paying the dues part and everything, it's a hard thing to do. So big ups to you on that. And another thing you mentioned was like Macho Man being the perfect embodiment of character and work and and everything.
Yeah.
Who are some people today that you could say that about?
Oh, I was a big fan of Eli Drake. When I first got to Impact, I would watch him, and to me, he was very old school. He would try to tell the story in the ring. His promos were fantastic, and they still are fantastic. I just don't ever see him anymore.
Right.
But I thought he was like awesome. I think another guy that's really trying is there's two guys. I think Moose. When Moose walks out, his outfits are always on point. He's really been trying on his promos. His ring game has improved so many, like just light years from what it was. I was actually his first singles match ever. It was in Ring of Honor, and that was, I got to share that with him, so that was kind of cool. Michael Elgin, another guy, his promos are getting so much better. He's so good. He has great delivery, and he's like realistic, you know what I mean? Where I'm very intense and hot and like, when I cut it. He's very calm, he's quiet, and he's methodical, and he gets to the point. And his ring work obviously speaks for itself. And then his outfits, his ring jacket and all that stuff, it has that Japanese feel to it. Those are guys that I think that kind of exemplify it. John Cena, I know a lot of people don't like, his ring work, blah, 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 blah. To me, John Cena is the last of the superstars that transcend professional wrestling.
Yeah.
We can talk, we talk about a lot of guys, but 30 years from now, we're still going to be talking, and I say this every podcast, I say this every conversation, 30 years from now, we're still going to be talking about Hogan, Flair, Savage, Austin, Rock, Cena. We're still going to be talking about those guys because they were the perfect package. They knew how to, even if you hated Cena, you still watched his matches because you wanted to see the outcome. He invested people. And to me, he's the last of that breed. And I don't think people, and there is a new generation of wrestlers coming along, and there's nothing wrong with it. But how does it identify on a mainstream level? Does it identify to everyone? Does it have staying power? And those are things I don't think a lot of people ask themselves. Are they willing to evolve their character, and do they know how to evolve their character, and do they know how to capture the crowd like that? I don't know what people. Now with social media, it works a little bit different. Everybody can be hot for about 15 minutes, and then sometimes that goes away, or it's weird how things are. I do think a lot of people are preconditioned to cheer for certain things as well. Like, everybody else likes this individual, I should too. Or, these guys just did that spot in the ring. I recognize that. I should cheer for it, even if it wasn't done as good as, like, say, Will Ospreay or something like that. So I think wrestling's weird in that sense. But I don't, nowadays, I think those are guys that are like that, but I don't think there's anyone that exemplifies that like a Macho Man. I think John Cena was the last one to be that guy.
A couple things coming off that. First off, we're talking about John Cena and how much he's meant. What did you think of the Firefly Funhouse match?
Wasn't for me. I liked. I was entertained by that and the Boneyard match, but it's just not for me. And I don't. If people liked it and loved it, cool. That's awesome. I'm glad they did, but it just wasn't for me. My thing with professional wrestling is that you tell the story in the ring. You don't rely on sound effects or weird stuff. You know what I mean? Yep. But that's my professional wrestling. That's what I enjoy. So I can't tell you how you should like it, and I don't judge you. But that's just, it wasn't for me. One of my favorite things, and I go to this, it told the story, and it told how insane it was, and it got the point across, is when Ric Flair was a babyface, late 80s, I think it was 89, and Terry Funk jumped him in the center of the ring with Great Muta, Gary Hart, Buzz Sawyer, and he hit him with the branding iron, and they beat up Sting, and Terry Funk put the plastic bag over Flair's head, and that's like real shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. You don't put a plastic bag over someone's head, and he's trying to suffocate Ric Flair. And I remember watching that as a kid, and I'm just like, holy shit, this guy's trying to kill him. And to me, I identified with that because that was a story they were telling, and I believe that shit. Maybe because I was a kid too, but it's just like that's no different from two people fighting in a house, and one person hates the other one so much that they try to kill him and they put this bag over their head and try to suffocate him. That's real shit to me. So, but I've always, like the Undertaker's thing, it was so cool to see American Badass, and I get it. The Undertaker, that's the Undertaker's thing, and that's Bray Wyatt's thing. And sometimes I really like stuff that they've done, and sometimes I don't. This just happened to be something that I just didn't care for, but I was entertained. I love seeing Thugonomics Cena. That's like one of my favorite things ever. And I love Bray Wyatt. I love the weirdness. But it just wasn't for me.
I feel you. We're split.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's just opinions. You know what I mean? And some people dig it, some people don't.
So, going off of the saying there's nobody that transcends wrestling right now, who do you think could get to that level if given that opportunity?
I'm gonna throw this in there before you say anything. Your stuff in AEW, like your promo work, they should be utilizing that in Impact.
I appreciate that.
Majorly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say anything, but just keep your eyes peeled. There's a rough patch that I will be going through, and but I think Impact, they've opened up their eyes to it, so keep your eyes open for that. And I do hope that something, you'll see something's in the works there finally.
Very cool.
But I appreciate that. I do. One of the things I loved was when the ICU thing was going on. People kept hitting me up asking me, was that me? Because they remembered the stuff that happened at AAW. And so I thought that was really cool that people, even some people I didn't even know, they're like, hey man, is that you? And I'm like, no, it's not me. But I thought that was really cool that actually transcended a little bit. And I don't mean it as an insult to today's professional wrestlers. I just hold that as a high bar.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want to seem like people, because there are people that are great. Like I love Kenny Omega. I think Kenny Omega is awesome. But I don't think Kenny Omega's promos are touching any of the guys that I mentioned. And I don't think anyone's promos, excuse me, for that matter, are touching those guys. There's just something about it. There's something about those promos that everyone relates to. Not just some people, everyone. When Steve Austin talked, you listened. You know what I mean? Even if you weren't a fan of professional wrestling, you're like, who the hell is this guy? Man, he has the crowd in the palm of his hand. And you identified with it, and then you want to see more. That doesn't happen a lot. I think I think there's people that honestly can capture the attention of the crowd. I think MJF's one of them. I'd like to see what he can do as a baby, though, because that's the real test.
Right.
To me, in my opinion, you got to be able to cut that fire baby promo as well as just insulting people. So, but I always liked MJF. I like the heat he gets, and I think he's really good in the ring too. I think Danhausen has something hot right now. If he can keep that going and keep that cooking, I think he could. He has, and then he always does very entertaining stuff. One of my favorite guys right now is Dan the Dad. I love his promos. To me, it's so funny. Yeah, and he does it so well,
Yeah, I've just recently been introduced to Dan the Dad by this guy. So,
and I'm a little biased here. I think Jake something. His promos are really good. He looks like $1 million. I think Karam has that ability. He can talk. He looks like $1 million, and he's going to be really great in the ring. Jake, I think, if Impact lets him go that route, he just has that it factor when he walks anywhere. Like, I'll be like, oh, man, we'll be walking in the airport. I'm like, man, I'll be dressed nice and stuff. But, man, I look sweet, you know what I mean? And Jake will be, like, in dirty shorts and a Dragon Ball tank top, and everyone's just like, who is that guy? You know what I mean? Like, he just has that it factor. He looks like a giant caveman. So,
like how Jim Ross always says, on his podcast, he always says that whenever they were scouting talent, it was if you're in the airport and you look,
Yep.
do you look at this person?
Yeah. I get it. I get the looks, but for different reasons. They're like, who's this very Arab Indian tan man with a mohawk walking through the airport? Better keep an eye on him. So I guess that counts. I don't know, but I'm gonna say that counts. Jim Ross, if you're listening, if you hear this, that counts. So
That counts.
Dude, if Jim Ross listens to this, I will shit myself. But anyway, dang, I was gonna. You spoke of MJF and can he cut the baby promo? It seems like Cody and MJF are two sides of the same coin, but do they have the other side of the same coin?
yes.
Like Cody can cut that fire babyface
Yes.
promo like nobody
Mhm.
right now, but
Mhm.
can he do the heel thing as well? I mean,
Yeah.
we kind of saw it in WWE, but I kind of feel like you have more creative control other places than WWE. It seems.
Yeah.
And that was another thing, like when we were talking about getting to that level of John Cena or whatever. I kind of don't think that right now WWE wants a star like that. I don't think they want a star to be bigger than the brand.
I could see that.
Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I could totally see that. Yeah, because then it takes away from what they're doing, and then the people leave off to Hollywood and go do different things and stuff. I mean, I don't know how they operate. I don't know any of the inside stuff there
Right.
because I've never worked there, but I can honestly see that. I totally agree with you there. I can see that.
Yeah. So speaking of the airports and such, how do you feel about the representation of Indian people in the industry?
I was never a fan of how minorities got treated regardless. I always thought it was when I first started, everyone's like, what are you? And I'd be like, I'm half Indian, I'm half black. You want to do a terrorist gimmick? I'm like, no, I don't need to do that in order for me to get heat. I grew up watching some of the best people that got heat, and that's what I'm going to emulate and try to be like. And I get heat just by being me. I don't like that. When they told me about the gimmick, and it's two sides of a coin because one thing, an Impact doesn't make us be, oh, we hate America, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? If Gama says it because Gama's old school. That's how he is.
Right.
They kind of let me, Rohit Raju is just kind of me, and with that stigma and name slapped on it. But I was never a fan of how that was as far as like how minority, and people still think that you go out there, you're automatically booed because you're the Indian guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I guess in wrestling it's like, cool, it's heat, but I'd rather earn the heat than just be like, oh, we don't like you because you're foreign. I always thought that was stupid. It's a little bit different nowadays because Japanese guys, when they come to the States, they're not automatically booed because people know of Japanese wrestling and they respect it. The lucha style is obviously huge, so people don't really, it still happens though. Trust me, I see when we go to certain areas and I see certain guys get in the ring that are, they're foreign, and you get those people in the crowd, go back to your country, or, oh, I want some tacos, or, oh, you're going to give me sushi, or, oh, you run the Quickie Mart, stuff like that. And that still happens.
No, I run the Quickie Mart.
But it's funny. People are people, and it's so dumb. I used to do this gimmick. It was funny. I did this before Cody Rhodes had used that moniker, but it was the American Nightmare, Hakeem Zayn. And I would cut this promo about that, saying, you know what, you look at me and you expect something of me. You expect me to tell you how I don't like America and this, that, and the other, but I was born and raised in America, but you don't treat me like I'm American. When I grew up, I always tried to be apple pie and baseball just like everybody else, but I was always told I didn't belong. And so I did this. I kind of flipped it to where I would say, like, I'm a better American than you. But you know what? I am your worst nightmare. I'm the American nightmare, an educated ethnic individual who knows how the game is played. And I was doing that for a bit. And then when it Impact, I wanted to take it a different direction, where I was saying stuff like, well, you boo me because I'm Indian and I haven't even done anything. You just knew that I represented India and was proud of representing India, so you automatically wanted to boo me. But you talk about Quickie Mart, but who's the ones going in there and buying his next Slurpee, while the guy that's running it is living the American dream and making money off you? You
Right.
talk about Indians, but you want to be cultured, so you go do yoga. Who gave that to you? Indian. You want to go eat cultured food, so you go eat Indian food. We're the ones that gave you this culture. We're the ones that gave you this class, but you just want to take it from us, and you want to insult real Indians for being Indians. Look at Shira. That's Shira. Shira is a very proud Indian man. So there is no stereotype with him. That's him. He's a very proud Indian man, and he loves representing his country. And I love representing India as well, as long as it's in a good light. I don't want to have to be the evil foreigner
Right.
in order for that. I do like the, hey, we're classy, you're not, like when we did that with the Deaners. There's ways to represent a country and not try to be like, oh, they're bad guys because they're evil Indian, foreigners, which I don't think Impact does anymore. I felt like they were, when it first started, they kind of wanted to go that direction, but then they were like, just go out there and, be pieces of shit, and that's what we were doing. We were just being heels. And there's promos that Gama cuts offline that people don't ever see. And Gama is super old school, and he cuts these great old school promos, and he gets heat, man. He gets really good heat, and he does the stuff where he puts over like good things about India that doesn't happen in the States. So it's like almost like a truth type thing,
Right.
but no one wants to hear it, and instantly relates to, he's not saying, oh, we're better than you because you guys are horrible Americans. He's doing it in a way where he's speaking truth about it. He said, hey, India's better than this because we do this and you guys don't do this. But he does it in such a way where it's good heat, you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, evil foreigners. It's him just being a jerk. That's okay. But I like what's his name?
Ali?
In WWE. Yeah, man. Like, I think that's awesome. Like, it's not, he represents his culture in such a good way, and it's different, and it's how it should be. You know what I mean? Be proud of what you're representing.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the bad guy all the time. But I like being a heel, so I don't really care.
Yeah.
As far as that goes.
Right. And like when Ali first showed up in WWE for the Cruiserweight Classic, one of the things that he said that stood out to me was, he says, when you see me and when you hear my name, you've already made up your mind about me.
Yes.
Right.
And that's reality, though. That's honestly reality. So, unfortunately, but I think it's better than what it used to be. More cultures are accepted and stuff, but
It
still has a long way to go.
Agreed. So what attracted you to Impact?
Oh man, you kidding me? I used to watch the $5 Wednesday pay-per-views that they had, and I remember watching AJ Styles versus Jerry Lynn versus Low Key and X Division. Like 90s cruiserweights were one thing, and then those guys came along, and you're like, what the hell is this? And that was when Impact and Ring of Honor had a very open relationship. So I would go to the Ring of Honor shows and see a lot of those guys there. Monty Brown is from my city. And I know Monty. I've known Monty before he got into wrestling. I know him better now that I got into wrestling. But when I first got into wrestling, I was refereeing before I got cleared to wrestle, and I refereed a few of his matches. And so I was already attracted when I found out that he was there. I was like, oh man! And then I found out, I watched his promos, and Monty was always putting on entertaining matches, and his promos were, man, he was killing it. His promos were so underrated.
Yeah.
His character he knew it. And so that was really cool to see that. And I always thought Impact there was a run there where it was just like, this is terrible. This is not good.
Yeah,
there was a long
the Hogan era.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And when I first got there in 2017, it was under different management. And I remember thinking to myself, man, this is bad. I was happy to be there, but I was like, man, this is not good. And then things got a lot better.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate to me that because of that era, people won't give it a chance now because of that time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And they don't.
Like, ever since the new regime took over, I have enjoyed every show I've watched. Every pay-per-view is killing it. Every week you're killing it.
Yeah.
The show's good. It's good wrestling. It's a good alternative if you don't want to watch the same show you've seen for years on Monday nights.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, jeez.
We don't get the credit for it. Our roster, man. Our roster works so hard. The whole crew works hard. Ross Foreman, he used to work with WCW, but he's back there just sweating all the time because he's running around taking care of everything, making sure talent's taken care of, making sure all the PR is taken care of. Everybody from top to bottom works very hard there, and it's one of the best locker rooms. Like I said, I was there for a while when the locker room was very cliquey, and there was a lot of top guys there that wouldn't give you the time of day, and now you have such great locker room leaders. Eddie, Elgin, those guys are constantly giving feedback, great criticism, letting you know how things should be, what works, what doesn't. Paige and Josh Alexander, you know, they've been around the block a lot. They're fantastic. They'll pull you aside and be like, look, this worked, this didn't. Maybe you should try this. And everyone's always like, hey, get better. Hey, we're doing, you know, we're always just wanting people to succeed. It's just cool to see that. And then, you know, the ladies are kicking ass, and it's one of the best locker rooms I've ever been a part of. Same thing, like Sammy, OVE, all those guys are always looking out for people. It's a great locker room, and I hate the fact that we don't get the credit that we deserve, you know? We honestly don't, and I'm not even saying that because I work there. Mm-hmm. I'm saying it because it's true. Because we don't get the credit that we deserve. We've been putting on some really great matches, really great shows, pay-per-views, like you said, and I know it just sucks that we don't get the love that I think we should be getting, because I put our roster against anybody, and it's such a great place to grow. As you see, like we were talking, look how many people have grown and they've gone elsewhere, or they've come back and redeveloped their characters and then got the second chance in other places. It's because Impact is doing that. Impact's giving you that creativity and letting you grow as a performer, where all these other places are not letting you do that.
And,
you know, it's insane.
And it seems like Impact, and I could say the same thing about AEW, just pretty much anywhere that's not the big dog in the fight. These places are willing to let you try stuff and see if it gets over, and if it doesn't. And if it doesn't get over, it doesn't get over. You just try something else. It seems so much less formulaic.
Yes.
Than the alternative.
I always thought, and like I said, I don't know how it operates, but I always felt in the Attitude Era, WWE always felt like professional wrestling trying to be a TV show.
Yeah.
Now it feels like a TV show trying to be professional wrestling, and it doesn't come across as organic or genuine as professional wrestling should be. One thing I love about Impact is they'll say, hey, this is what the promo is. And they have a bunch of verbiage, but then they'll say, you do your promo. We just want you to hit these bullet points. So I say, okay, cool. Who's going to cut a better promo? Who's going to cut a better Rohit Raju promo than Rohit Raju? Nobody. You know what I'm saying? No one's going to cut a better Steve Austin promo than Steve Austin.
Right.
So, and that's just how it is. You know what I mean? So I go there and I cut my promo and I have that creative freedom to do it. Whereas there's no way I could remember 2 pages of stuff like that I have to act out. I have to be able to feel in the moment and do it. And it's just like, I don't know. That's just not for me, I guess. I don't know, but if that's how if that's how they operate, but that's what it feels like. You gotta let professional wrestling be professional wrestling. We're not like anything else. Yeah, sure. There's acting involved, and there's athletics involved, and there's cameras, and there's this, and there's edits, and there's that. But it's still professional wrestling. You gotta let it be what it is.
Right. So, coming up toward the end here, I saw I watched What Culture, and they have this new show that's like 5 things that you hate about wrestling, and they go send
You're talking
send
about
to hell.
Cultaholic.
Yeah, Cultaholic.
Yeah.
I kind of want to ask you the opposite thing. What are 5 things about wrestling culture, wrestling fans, whatever, that you absolutely adore or think there should be more of happening?
That's a good question. I love when the crowd is invested. You go out there or you're watching it, and the crowd is invested. Even if it's not a great match, if you're telling, like maybe work-wise, but if you're telling the story and the crowd is invested in the story, there's nothing better. Look at Hogan Rock in Toronto. You know what I mean? It wasn't Okada Omega, but it was the crowd was invested because they were invested in their characters. They were invested in all the build-up and all the promos, and they knew they were watching something special. Any of the Rock Austin matches, it's punch, kick, duck one, Thesz, maybe float over DDT, stuff like that, brawl on the outside. Doesn't matter because all of the promos, all the vignettes, the character work, it all comes to that, and then they tell this story in the ring, and you just want to see these guys tear each other up. That I love, when it all comes together and everyone's invested. And it's the same thing when Omega won the IWGP belt. It was like that long story, and he finally got it. You were invested in it because it was this path and this story that was built up and told. And then when the payoff finally comes, you're like this. You're just, oh man, and every single move, whether it's a clothesline or whether it's a Canadian destroyer, you're like, oh my god, because you're invested in what's happening and you're invested in the two people in the ring. I think that's my favorite thing.
I felt even more invested with the story of Naito.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Because that was an even longer story to be told.
Yes, it was, and it's like, and you just can't wait for it to pay off. And when it finally does, you're like, hell yeah, man! Yeah, it's history. History was made.
And when he's winning, even just winning the opportunity for the match, you're like, oh my god, is it going to happen? Is this it?
Yes. Yeah. As a wrestling fan, because even wrestlers, we're still wrestling fans. Yeah. You know what I mean? So we get invested in this stuff, and that to me is number one. That's professional wrestling right there. Being able to tell the story and perform it in the ring is second to none. What else? I love when it's on point. There's a lot of lame ass people in professional wrestling. Don't get it twisted. There's a lot of high school drama, cliques, people just being so stupid and childish. But then there's a lot of camaraderie, a lot of brother and sisterhood. That's really cool. And when you get to see those people, you may see them once a week, you may see them once a month. But when you see everybody, it's like, oh, hey, man, it's that familiar face that you haven't seen in a while. You give them a big hug and you ask, hey, what's going on? How's the family? How's this? How's that? I love that. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome when you find those people in your life that you can go months without seeing, but then when you see them, it's like you saw each other yesterday.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah, and you're all in the same thing. You kind of have the same mindset, and that's really cool. Just that family, I guess, brotherhood, sisterhood feel of it is actually really cool. I think it's very underrated, and a lot of people that don't know about professional wrestling don't know about that, and it doesn't get a lot of credit that it deserves, like we were saying earlier. Number 3, I guess. I mean, these are all, I'm spitballing these off the top of my head, so it could always change tomorrow if you ask me. Right. Number 3, I think the history of it. I grew up watching it, and I know it has to evolve. I know it has to change. Does it really have to change that much? I don't know. I mean, if it ain't broke, you know what I'm saying? But I love, 9 times out of 10, if I'm watching wrestling, it's something old, or it's something I haven't seen before. because everyone's trying to do what Will Ospreay's doing.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to do what's hot, and I'm trying to do what Steve Austin did. Like my inspiration for the AEW promos, the bitter chip on the shoulder, besides just how I feel in a sense, also came from his ECW promos.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
Yes, because Austin knew how good he was. He knew his worth. Not everybody else did.
And
Like
he
even when
he just had to
Go ahead.
find a place that wasn't afraid to let him talk.
Yes, and that's what I'm hoping I get sooner or later, because I can cut these promos, and some people will be like, "Man, your promos are really great." And some people, they just don't care because they don't care about. They're like, "Well, you're not. The internet's not telling me you're hot, so I don't care," or I just don't have something that relates to them. You know what I mean? But then once the bigger audience sees that, and they're like, "Holy shit, this guy's really good," and if I can get that steam, because I know my worth. And that's just how it is. I'm not being egotistical. I know I have a lot to improve on. I know I have a lot of things I have to do to be even better to get to that next level. But I also know my worth, and I know it's worth more than what I get. And I know, I always say I'm not going to be as athletic as like the Rascals. Like there's stuff they do in the ring that I'll never be able to do. Not anymore.
Well, look at Arya Davari. He's on a 205 Live show, and he does the kind of similar things where he's kind of like an old school wrestler, storyteller in the ring.
Yes, yeah. Which I think that is becoming a lost art too, in a sense.
And you're talking about knowing your worth. If you don't know your worth, and if you're not invested in yourself, you're not going to go anywhere.
You're gonna take those hot dogs for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
exactly. Right. And sometimes you got to be that dick and be like egotistical and be like, "Hey, I know I'm better than what you guys are saying." You know what I mean? But it's funny because a lot of the boys are like, "Why don't they do more with you? Why don't they let you talk like that?" So that's always cool to get that respect from your peers. And I don't know where I was going with it, but
that's all right. Well,
I don't know where I was going
with Ethan Page. You know, he spent a very long time in that WWE farm system Evolve, but he must have knew his worth because he's somewhere else now doing the things he should have always been doing.
I always say this: he is the smartest wrestler because he knows business. And it doesn't matter what Ethan Page does now. He doesn't have to go out there and kill himself because Ethan Page is going to draw people with his vlog. Ethan Page is going to draw people with his promos, with his social media skills. He is a business now, and that is the smartest thing. And, you know, he knows how to talk the talk, walk the walk. I'm not saying he's not a genuine person, but he knows how business works. And that's like, to me, that's me. I know how business works, but I don't apply myself like he does, which I should, because, you know, Rohit, Raju, Hakeem Zayn, that's a brand, and I should be applying myself to that brand. Danhausen's another guy. It's a brand, and you got to promote your brand. But he is better than anybody at that, and he knows everybody. He has connections in every promotion, so he's going to be fine wherever he goes. You know what I mean? That is smartest guy in the room.
Yeah, I feel in a similar way, going off knowing how to make people listen and on the social media skills that you talked about. I feel similarly about David Starr. I feel very similar about him. And talking about Danhausen, he's a guy that very much understands a point that I always make, that if you're going to have a gimmick that is as outlandish as a gimmick like Danhausen, or like, let's say, Broken Matt Hardy, if you're not 100% invested, nobody else is gonna be.
Right. Right. Like you have to look at MJF. MJF's a dick at all times, and it works. You know what I mean? Flicking off the little kid, people got all upset about that. He's a heel, you morons.
I loved that.
Jesus.
I loved it.
Okay. Like, I hate that stuff.
We haven't seen someone take a sign from someone and rip it on TV in 20 years.
Yeah.
I actually did it in Vegas, but it didn't get on TV. Someone had a sign about the Hit Squad, and I walked up to him before I got in the ring. It was actually during the Scramble match that aired a few weeks ago, and I ripped it up. And
we just watched that. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was I love that match.
Yeah.
Everybody was on fire, but I ripped it up, and it's like, yeah, man, if you can't be a heel, I'm not supposed to
And me,
be nice. I'm insulting people. I mean, there's a line you don't cross, but like,
yeah, and me as a wrestling
man.
fan, yeah, as a wrestling fan, if I'm the guy that gets my sign taken and ripped off, you made my night.
Yeah, I'm going.
You made my night.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you paid attention to me, you acknowledged
Yeah.
me, and I was trying to get your attention, and you did it. Like, so I think so many people are just. It's like that false outrage, like, oh, I got to be offended by this. No, you don't. Sometimes it's nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be offended by. You're just offended because
Exactly.
you got to be offended. It's like, shut up. Like, that's why I love being that AEW is like, okay, we're going to let you off the leash. Go ahead. As long as you don't get us in trouble, go ahead and do what you want. I shit on everybody. I don't care. Like, that's my, because that's, but it's like that. It's like kind of like that reality of it, because I get so tired of going on Twitter and seeing people, oh, they drew this like this, or just, it's just like, stop it. Just stop it. There's certain things that are going to be that way because they're supposed to be, because it's supposed to be risque, or it's supposed to be shitty, or it's supposed to be happy, or it's supposed to be kind, or it's supposed to be that way because that's what it is. It's like, you got to be offended by it. Like, just stop, man. I don't get offended by all the crap that, like we were talking earlier about how minorities got treated. I understand in that timeline I didn't agree with it, but I didn't sit there and be like, oh, this has got to stop. No, I'm going to stop it by coming out being me and turning it. And that's what I was saying earlier, the stuff about Steve Austin. No one knew his worth until he actually, even when he went in as ringmaster, it wasn't until he got to turn on the switch at WWE that finally people realized. But I knew when he was stunning Steve that he was awesome.
Right.
You know what I mean? But and that's what I hope to accomplish too. But I guess back on track. 4 and 5. Jesus, what did I say? Did I even do 3?
No, you did. I think the first one was investment. The second one was unity / brotherhood, sisterhood.
Oh, and then the history was the third one.
History was the third. I guess fourth could be becoming a brand.
Yeah, we'll say that, people being a brand in professional wrestling. I guess the fifth one too is seeing people that I know and like succeed.
Yeah.
I love to see my friends or people that I just know worked hard, and even people that are like myself and Trey were talking the other day, and I met him at a Ring of Honor show. He had drove hours to do this, and we wrestled in front of the boys. We all had dark matches in front of the roster, and it was so cool. And Trey
That
was
probably was the most fun you had. Yeah.
It was, and I got to wrestle Cheeseburger. That's another guy.
Love Cheeseburger.
When I was still trying to make it, and Ring of Honor was throwing me some bones, and I was going to the seminars, and all Cheeseburger was doing was helping out with the ring, production, and next thing you know, and I still talk to him from time to time. And next thing you know, he's wrestling in Japan.
Yeah.
And he's getting big matches in Ring of Honor. Excuse me. I love to see that stuff. I love to see it. Danhausen, another guy. I'd known him when he was just a snot-nosed rookie trying to look like CM Punk and wrestling that style. Yeah, Donovan Danhausen, And we share our love of Simpsons together. And now he's blown up. Same thing, Warhorse. I didn't know Warhorse a long time, but I knew him before he was, the 80s metal gimmick. And then I always thought he was a hard worker and a great worker and always respected him and liked him. And then I see him blowing up. Same thing with Dan the Dad. I love to see people like that find success. And Jake something, I've known him for almost 15 years. We used to do backyarding together. We're best friends, better rivals. And his success, I love to see that, and I can't wait for Impact to take the chain off of him and let him go, because he's going to be their star. He's going to be a huge star there.
You're talking about Jake?
Yeah, Jake something,
You need to tell him to answer his DMs.
Yeah, he's where I love to do these things. He's not a fan of doing it. He just doesn't. That's Jake, man. Jake, he beat of his own drum right there. But and I think he's a star. I think he has superstar written all over him. People instantly attract themselves. Men, women, children, they instantly gravitate towards him. Where me, he's unbreakable and I'm Mr. Glass. He's Goku and I'm Vegeta. We're direct opposites, but we mix. And I'm the guy that people don't know how good I am until they actually see me. Because I'm not a big guy. I'm 5'8", like 180 pounds right now, which is good because I'm in really good shape. But I ring work, and I didn't mean that I'm in really good shape. No, but I'm in good shape. But yeah, people are like not invested in me until they see me, and then they're like, oh, there's something about this guy that's different. You know what I mean? But he has that it factor. I believe I have that it factor, but I have to show people I have that it factor. It's not like it's not that, but it's weird. But I love to see people I know that have worked hard, that have came from nothing, get success, and I love to see that. I love it absolutely. It just I can't explain it enough. I love to see people succeed. It's just how it is.
Yeah, I feel that way. I feel that way about Elias. Here's a guy that I used to. We talked about IWC a little bit ago. I used to go to every show, and he was there as Logan Shulo, and it feels the same. Like if you're a big football guy and you follow a specific college football player and watch them get drafted to the NFL, it feels that same way.
Yeah,
it's like people who follow high school.
Yeah.
Little armchair fantasy booking I have is you're talking about Jake. A good way that they could get him over like that in Impact. They're building Madman Fulton up to be this great heel. Who on the roster, babyface wise, could honestly take him? You got Jake. You got Jake right there, man. Yep. And I remember when we were talking on Twitter, I was talking about Karam. Like if they ever decided to break up the Desi Hit Squad, and you could easily have him as your heater and have a feud with Shira and
Raj. Yeah, we honestly could. And I think once this is all said and done, because we were making some noise on the indies and AEW, obviously that helps a lot. I love that promotion, man. That was a promotion that it's hard to get into, and now those guys have seen my worth, and they're like, this guy's money. You know what I mean? He has a chip on his shoulder and he's hungry, and let's see what he can do. And every time they gave me something, I felt like I've delivered with them. But I think once we make enough noise on the indies, I think they'll have no choice but to look at him, because people constantly tag Impact like bring in Karam, and that's what you got to do. Sometimes you just got to be undeniable.
Yeah,
and it works
for the females. The hashtag give divas a chance.
Yep. And it's wrestling's weird. It is changing, but sometimes the foundation is what keeps it strong. So you have to respect that. You got to respect on what it was built on, and sometimes that's what works. Where we can evolve and we can do stuff like Funhouse and Boneyard, and that's cool. But the stuff that's always going to be number one is two people in the ring telling that story with the proper build-up. That's always going to be money every single time. You go to a movie, a really good movie is going to tell a really good story, and it's going to be money every single time when it's done right. Professional wrestling is no different.
Right. So, last question for you, and I think I know your number one. This is a subjective question. You do not have to answer this objectively. Who is your personal Mount Rushmore of wrestlers?
Damn. Oh. What is it, 4 or 5?
4.
4? Oh, Lord. It changes every time somebody asks me this. I will say...
I'm the same way.
Same.
Yeah. So I'll say Macho Man, Austin, in no particular order. Right. Macho Man, Austin, Rock, Flair... And I want to say Eddie Guerrero right now. I think those guys all bring something different, all different eras, and they're all great. You know what I mean? But it could have been Dusty, Cena, Hogan. You know what I mean? It could have been, or it could have been just all workhorses. It could have been Arn, Benoit, Omega. You know, yeah. But as of right now, that's the one I'll go with. But it's hard. It's really hard to say, but that's a good thing because you have so many great professional wrestlers out there that bring a little something different to the matches, and it's, you know, how could you not love professional wrestling?
I don't know, because I'm absolutely obsessed.
Right.
There's
almost
something,
a sickness.
It is, you know, but there's something for everybody. If you want to watch like a competitive story, you watch New Japan. If you want to watch some outrageous stuff, you can watch stuff like the Funhouse. If you want to just watch a really good story, you can watch the Mega Powers Explode. I mean, you can watch Dusty Flair. You can watch Harley Flair. There's so many things. You can watch the Road Warriors and the Brainbusters. You can watch Sting and Ric Flair. Sting. How can he might be on my top too. I say, I don't know, man. It's so hard. Sting is. I love Sting, dude. I forgot. How can I forget Sting? That's one of my dudes right there, man. Stinger, boy. What was he, like 6'5" back in the day? He was considered a high flyer, jacked out of his mind, cutting just insane promos, doing high cross bodies off the top rope to the outside with no padding. Just awesome, dude. Running down the ramp, hitting that high cross body into the ring. Dude, Sting was so sweet. When he came on at Survivor Series, I about died. I was like 5 years old. Like, oh my God, Sting, I can't believe it. Oh my God. Oh, you see, he just dropped Triple H. Oh, he flipped his jacket back. Oh my God, just losing my shit, dude. It was like that when The Rock came out and was the host for WrestleMania. And he came out, he was bald, jacked as shit, just looking sweet. Kicked out that, oh, dude, just how could you not love professional wrestling, man? I don't get it. I honestly don't get it.
Well, Rohit, it has been our pleasure to have you here at Armbar.
Thanks, guys. Audio. I really appreciate it. For real.
Thank you so much for taking some time out of your quarantine life and doing this. And hopefully everything gets back to normal soon so we can see you on TV and also defend that Heritage Championship of AEW's.
So, we usually ask people to plug anything that they've got coming up, but
or their social media.
With how this is, there's nothing coming up. So, anything you want to say?
Every Tuesday, Access TV, Impact Wrestling, baby. You'll find me there. There's some really good stuff with me cooking right now. I'm not going to say anything, but the direction of my character, so to speak, there's just some little things going on that people that have been wanting me saying, hey, give Rohit the mic. There's some promos that I got a chance to cut, and I'm very proud of, and I think you'll see some of that. But there's some stuff that's going to be happening, and plus just with the company in general, we appreciate the support. Please continue to support us. Of course, we're on Twitch as well. And then you can always find me on social media at Hakeem Zayn on Twitter, Raju Zayn 80 on the old Insta. You can look up Rohit Raju or the Mad Dragon, Hakeem Zayn on Facebook. As of right now, I'm just trying to post whatever wrestling stuff I can find.
Right.
And mostly nowadays, it's just me posting egotistical, gratuitous pics of me flexing in the mirror because I'm trying to stay in shape. Either that or my dogs. That's about it. So, but yeah, man, everybody, I hope everyone stays safe. And never forget that I am the jaw-jacking, Tuesday night impacting. His mother called him son because he shines like one. Mocha, skin, manimal, Rohit Raju, or Hakeem Zayn. Take your pick.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.